This is Software Meets Business, a podcast sponsored by Head Channel.
Welcome to another episode of Software Meets Business. With me today, I have got Piotr Młodecki, who is the Chief Transformation Officer at Soul Millennium Medical Group. Hi, Piotr.
Hi, Richard. So nice to be here. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. And greetings from Chicago.
Good to have you with us, Piotr. And yes, Chicago looks like a nice bright day, so that's good. Let's kick off and just kind of get a bit of background about you. If you could just give our listeners a brief kind of history, that'd be good.
Sure. So, like you said, I'm Chief Transformation Officer at the international medical company. We do design and distribution of medical devices. We're very heavily involved in COVID response, which is also relevant to the topic of how we digitize and optimize to reach the best results. But I've been in medical field for over 20 years. And at some point, I have a finance degree and a business administration degree, so I'm a business person by education rather than the tech person. But inevitably, we live in a more and more digitized world, and our strive to bring revenue, to grow company value, to improve our efficiency and our value propositions to our clients and to our employees becomes a more and more digitized discipline. So a few years back, as part of my function, I took over the IT, and then it took over me. Right, so I am right now a growth leader, and that growth is very heavily digital.
Okay. And what kinds of things do you get involved with in that, or is it getting developers to build software, or do you buy software in, or have you got? How does that work?
Well, that's you can make both of those choices and more choices as you grow the business. It's what your business objective is, and that's in principle an objective for transformation, as I understand it and as I lead it, is that you grow the company, you grow the revenue, you improve the efficiency, you grow the company value, and you have a set of tools that assist you during that way. And that goes, the make or buy is always decision. Whenever there is a business objective ahead of you, you go and make this decision. And there is make and there is buy and there's in between, because you can buy a lot of platforms that are highly customizable, and even to a degree that I would call programmable. So you can create a custom processes and based on SAP, based on Oracle, based on Salesforce, right? So it's not always pure make or buy, but we definitely need to look at both. Okay.
And well, let's go kind of a little bit further, I suppose, back in your experience of, getting software into businesses to help them, enable them to move forward. So I know you started out way back as a project manager and then a general manager. What was the kind of the piece where did you ever kind of have an insight where you realized that actually getting the right software and could enable the business in a way that would dramatically improve its performance?
Right, and I definitely did, and that was before taking my role in transformation. I was a president for our European group here in Soul Millennium Medical, and I sometimes use this anecdote that in Europe, if you miss a highway exit, you can end up in a different country, right? So the business is very fragmented, and it is very important that you remove that redundant work to keep it all together, right? And then right now, I'd say leading our transformation function globally, that becomes even more of a challenge. So you want to be focused on what drives your efficiency, what drives your revenue, not in the redundant, repeatable work or making sure that the business integrity is untouched. And that's a highly digital discipline these days. There's an interesting theory by MIT that talks about creating operational backbone. right? And that is probably the starting point in reference to your question, is that if you want to manage the business effectively, if you want to grow your business, you need to start with very efficient operating call. And it's a very self-explanatory element, right? If you grow and at some point you have more customers, more country organizations, more distribution centers, that you can handle in an analog way, you need to create workflows that help you scale and improve the efficiency and improve the experience of work, both to your people as to your customers, in a way that is more efficient. And that is where you start looking for innovations. But it starts at the core, and that's why it very often starts with, for me, it starts with completely redoing our ERP, with re-implementing SAP, with rethinking how we use it, how it interfaces with other platforms like EDIs, like business intelligence, and that's where I started, and I would say that proved very efficient, because a lot of growth limitations that stem from the ability of the organizations to move fast enough and in an agile manner are just so much easier to solve.
So you saw the ERP system as being the core of the business.
That's correct, yes, and I think that is I would say a very pragmatic truth for a lot of organizations, is that we are a distribution company, and if you're a manufacturing company, it's even more important, and if you produce service, I don't see why it wouldn't be any less important. Is your ability to close the sales cycle, to achieve a smooth consolidated reporting. And if you're working in a group company or in an international company, that becomes even more important. You don't want to burn energy on all of that, right? You want to make sure that all your creative minds are focused on growing customer experience, on improving your products or improving your value proposition, not on making sure that the quarter has been successfully closed, right? And that's why all these operational matters are so important.
Yeah. I suppose in my experience, there's lots of different ERP systems around. We've worked with quite a few people who've actually had custom ERP systems built. And I guess that works for a certain size, but then after a certain size, it becomes less beneficial because there are platforms out there. What's been your experience? Did you work with a custom system to start with, or?
Well, I have worked with a very international environment all my life, and that kind of narrows the catalog of ERPs that you can use, because it's predominantly about the local financial compliance. So you don't really want to redo that, right? And if you were doing it, maybe you can redo it for one country. I don't know why you would do that, but there are some very powerful platforms to choose from. Of course, like I said, if you're international, there is a little bit less to choose from. There's Dynamics, there's Oracle, there's SAP, and then within those projects you have more SMB solutions and more enterprise solutions. So you go for one of those, and the way I approach ERP is that it is also a programming platform.
Right.
So
okay.
again, kind of pivoting to what you mentioned about developing it from ground up, you can choose the right ERP. That it's a common misconception that adopting the powerful platform like ERP could actually fix your process. It usually doesn't fix your process, right? It's still your responsibility as a business leader to establish, control, and evolve a robust process, but it can enable it. It will not limit you, especially if you have a little bit of courage and a little bit of boldness to say, hey, okay, I got the SAP, but you know what? I can actually reprogram it. And I can still create a customized process that drives my business specifically in a very efficient way.
And just talk a little bit more about that, because some people will be, used to the idea that you buy some software from a vendor. There's some, configuration to it, maybe a little bit of customization. But what you're saying is that you really truly embrace it as the core of the business, and then you stick a load of stuff on top of that. Is that what you're saying? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's right, and I would say that this is kind of a necessary thing to do, because if you think about with a few exception of, let's say, businesses fortunate enough to have no competition, it's really not just the product or service that you offer to your client, is actually their expectation about how you are going to perform during that transaction and post this transactions, how your organization is being able to perform, right? So how do you outperform if you do what others do, right? The others will get the idea to buy the ERP, to buy CRM, to configure it, right? But if this is where your ambition ends, then you're not really building a competitive advantage. You need to go further, right? And then if you open your mind, and I think that people who create this software also understand that need. So if you are already in a software that is programmable, like SAP, like Salesforce.com, like Oracle, right? There's a lot of things there that you can do if your business objective is very solid, if your business vision is very solid, and you have a little bit of courage to go deeper and go just beyond the configuration layer to do a little bit more.
I do think that people tend to have, and I've seen this at the executive level, they let the system drive the business rather than the other way around. So they have a vendor come in, they plug in this system, and then they just let it sit there and they use it day to day. I mean, and it's a core part of the business, but there's no differentiation against them and, someone else down the street who does the same thing, because they're all just sat there letting the system do its job, but they're not really embracing it and extending it to make a competitive, to make them more competitive. But what I'm hearing from you is that you approach it the other way. You drive the system.
I think that it is how you. I'm sorry. I hope you did it out. I just got my thoughts together. So the system can drive your process if it's configured correctly. And there's the question is how much of you and your business vision is in that configuration, right? In my experience, the really good, the really powerful platforms come without predefined process. And you really need to put a lot of thought into how this process is going to be structured. And if you do it right, then indeed you can actually benefit from the system driving your process, but it is your process, it is your know-how, and it is your competitive advantage. You can, of course, a lot of companies hire consulting firms to configure that process for them, and that's a one shortcut to do it. Of course, the risk is that they have configured the process in a very similar way for your competitors. So you want to make sure that you add a little bit more innovation to it and a little bit more of the business vision to it. And then if you are talking about some of the, I'd say, less sophisticated platforms that come with a predefined process, then yes, they can improve something, but you end up doing things in a way that the others do, and I don't think that's something that really drives the value.
So talk us through a little bit. Have you got some examples of if you can share them, of how you've extended the platforms that you work with that drive that sit in the business? You've extended them a little bit so that they're helping you have that advantage.
Right. So it goes about defining your process and seeing how far I can customize that process exactly to my need, right? So if I believe what I do, I don't want the software to limit me. And this is almost this infamous meme of a swing, right? Where the business has certain need that isn't properly recognized, and something gets developed that is underdocumented and overbuilt, and the management would say, well, yeah, okay, it's good enough, right? It's not really what I thought, but we paid for it. We've waited so long, then let it work, let it drive my business. I think we should be a little more ambitious than that, right? Is that that's the revolution that we are experiencing right now with iterative programming languages, with low code, really make that picture obsolete. Right now, the gap between the visionary leaders and what they can create in digital platforms, other existing platforms, or completely from scratch by imagining it, programming it, is as small as ever, right? And that creates a very unique opportunity, but also responsibility of the business leader to really transform, to become algorithmic leaders, to become digital leaders. I don't think you can be a leader if you're not an algorithmic leader in the modern times, right? And at the same time, it applies pressure on the engineering leaders to be less focused on making technology work and more focus on making technology achieve the business results that they imagined or the shareholders imagined, right? So this definitely puts technology and business vision closer together.
Okay. And so have you, customized your implementations? Are you using low-code tools to do that?
Let me just interrupt this podcast for a few seconds. I just wanted to let you know about our wonderful sponsor, Head Channel. Head Channel builds software engineering teams, and they've been building software for clients since 2003. They have a very simple engagement model. Either they develop and run it, or they build it and you run it. They can also help with finding a fractional CTO if you need that support. You can find them at headchannel.co.uk. And now back to the podcast.
We're using locals tool to do it, and we're using just programming languages to do that. So so I would say we use more traditional and more more innovative ways to do that. But the point is that we don't take no for an answer if we have a business objective to reach. To the point, and where we say maybe that isn't right technology, right? It's like I say, if I cannot achieve what I want to achieve with SAP, then I will create a custom-built web-based application to serve that purpose, and then I will plug the outcome of this process back into SAP, so it basically lines up at the end, right? But that's I think this is the attitude we have. It's not taking no for an answer. I would rather go to a different direction, different platform, or completely custom-built, just to make sure that our business objective and what we want from the process is achieved.
Okay. And where do you think sort of the next step is?
Well, I think it's an AI revolution. I think it's a no-brainer. So the first thing that comes to mind is how we employ AI to accelerate that transformation, that revolution even further, right? And I have a specific view on that. I think that we are in this moment at first where everybody got excited and they think that we no longer need to work because AI is going to do the work for us. It's not exactly true. Even in the software development, I think right now we start having enough data to say that it is now the process of developing an application is 30% improved, 40% improved because of applying various AI solutions along the way, right? So this is absolutely revolutionary, but it doesn't mean that we are free from let's say creative work and design work and validation work and maybe MVPs, right? And then taking a step back if something hasn't proven efficient in the real life. But that is definitely accelerating that process. And I think that should make leaders even more ambitious in terms of believing that they can achieve any goal they want from the process point of view or from their company vision point of view, through software development and applying AI to your processes. Having that said, there's also key role that AI plays is actually giving you time to do that, right? Is actually taking all the redundant work, the validations, the debugging, right, the repetitive calculations, the translations, away from those of your team members who can spend this time much more productively in much more creative way, often building solutions and processes that help your company grow faster.
Yeah. So to be able to do that, you need quite a forward-thinking C-suite who can enable that for the business. How do you think other business leaders who maybe don't have that benefit How do you think they might tackle these challenges?
Well, this is definitely a revolution, and the question is, do you embrace it, or do you try to row up the stream, right? So I think I understand why it is a challenge. I mean, take as simple example as CRM, right? This is nothing new. If we sell, if we interact with customers on a frequent basis, we need digital enablers to help us do that, right? And when you walk in and you interact with your potential client, you walk out in the elevator, there is your competitor who wants to get the same deal, and maybe they have less experience than you. Maybe they're not able to run this conversation so efficiently, but they're equipped with AI insight of the past 3 years of interactions with the customers and some talking point suggestions that may be a breakthrough for them getting that business and not you, right? So I think that this is the race. And I remember this hearing Jason Huang in in last Salesforce conference, when he used this metaphor. He said, "I don't know if I am running for food or I'm running away to be food." And I think this is a really good metaphor that describes this, and leaders should have that mindset, right? Is that that the world is changing, and the way we do business by optimizing our internal operations and creating value propositions to the clients is changing. And one thing we cannot do and we mustn't do is to stay behind.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to keep moving forward. So just coming back to your experience over the last kind of couple of years, have you? What do you think? Apart from obviously the AI piece, but what's that really meant to the business being able to move faster? Is there any kind? Have you got any kind of things you could share about the way that the business is starting to be transformed?
Right. I would mention a couple of points. So I will definitely mention system integrations, process automations, and business intelligence. And I think a lot of these terms are very, very self-explanatory. So again, we are removing the redundant work. If the process is repeatable, it can be done automatically in many ways right now, and that just saves your time and helps you be more productive. But I would also zero in on the information transparency and business intelligence. That is another very important factor that helps you react faster and I would almost say democratize the information across the company. I believe in this 3 T's theory, so truth, trust, and transparency. That if you do that, that helps you have so many more eyes on the process that maybe you don't need the red tape. Maybe there are a couple of approval flows that you can remove. Definitely, you don't need for your data to arrive after the period has been consolidated, right? So this is very reactive. This is very yesterday's news. Business intelligence has been a breakthrough for me and for my company in the way that we do business, especially during some very hectic time, like the pandemic response. At the time, we even considered an information that was 30 minutes old somewhat obsolete. So this is something that really helps the companies jump ahead and stay ahead. And I would even say, let's not stop there, because even the information that is 30 minutes old, it kind of is a reactive thing, right? And a lot of companies have great processes that look towards the future, right? There are S&OP softwares, there's FP&A softwares, right? So there's a lot of data around the company that is predictive in nature. So incorporating that in the business intelligence and visualizing that really gives power to relevant leaders across the company to make decisions as fast as humanly possible.
So you'd say it's probably, that whole piece around being better at forecasting what's coming is helping make decisions.
Oh, that's correct, right? And with all the computing power that we have right now, the AI included, you can apply forecasting to so many areas of your business, right, without running those calculations manually. And yes, that is, I think, a very, very big trend, and a very big benefit for those who embrace that trend is to predict which direction your business is going to go, from multiple areas, from sales performance to financial performance.
I know you've kind of got a bit of a story to tell around the way that you've managed to optimize your SAP, or the way that you work with SAP. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and that journey, and the fact that you were able to run it quite lean, I think you said?
Yeah, that's right. It is. I think this is another myth that we may want to bust, right?
Okay, let's do it. Let's bust it.
It is not necessary to operate on multi-million-dollar budgets to have the ERP, to customize your ERP or CRM or any other platform that is critical for how your business operates. Is the choice it's a good combination of your in-house resources, your external partners, and the choice of the platform that suits your business size and your business needs. And if you do that, it really doesn't have to take a lot of time. It doesn't have to take a lot of money.
Do you think that obviously these big platforms get the people just assume they're going to be expensive, very expensive and inefficient, because they don't do those things, or something else?
Well, you need to think out of the box. It can be, like we lived in a globalized world where services are provided all over the world. In some parts, this what you need can be done cheaper. In some parts, you need to spend more money. So this is being open-minded, being clear about what you want to achieve as your business results, and you will find a way.
So just talk us through a little bit of how you came to do this, how you came to realize it, and how you came to put it in place so that you can run in a much more optimized way.
And I think that this starts with understanding the business and when your bottlenecks are. And I would go back to that notion of creating this perfect operational core that basically works in the background. At some point, most of the people in the organization don't need to know about that, and it has this, I would say, tenacious drive to optimize. And that makes you look for improvements in your process every single day, and then it comes very naturally. You say, oh, like why is this done manually? Why can that not be optimal? Why is that done twice? Can we not create an EDI or API to just remove the one part of that process? And you start building this library of components that eventually create your own unique customized platform of solutions designed to remove the bottlenecks specific to your business. So I'd say that it is not even a grand plan behind that, right? It's steps. It's a small steps, small improvements, sometimes successful, sometimes unsuccessful. It is creating teams and leaders around it who also share the same principle. They basically want to achieve their business objectives in the easiest, fastest, most productive way. And if you create those leaders, if you enable those leaders, if you give those leaders transparent information about how their area operates and often how the neighboring disciplines operate, there are some incredible innovative ideas that those teams are able to translate into digital solutions. And because they're so pragmatic, that's also another reason why they're not necessarily associated with long project timelines and very big budgets.
Right. Yeah. So now you've kind of optimized this. What information is it enabling you to have?
Well, okay. So I would break it down into, I would say, the two sides. Like the first relates to your to how your company operates. As you grow, you'll inevitably lose the sight on the micro level, on the transaction level, on the customer level, on the individual process level. And even if an inefficiency happens, you don't really know that it happens. So the way that and I must say that most of the platforms that I know of come with relatively disappointing dashboarding and reporting functionalities out of the box, right? So this is another area where we need to be ambitious and ask for more. I believe in business intelligence. I believe in every single process to feed the data into visual form and giving the data to as many people as reasonably possible for them to assess if we are really doing the business in an efficient way or not, right? So that with that, you eventually achieve that goal of creating an operational core that is scalable and that supports your front end. And that takes you to the second part, is how you analyze your business, right? And that's it. That I think that it's not always necessary to rediscover the wheel. There's a well-implemented CRM with additional marketing inputs that are again analyzed in a data-oriented form. If you have the data-oriented algorithmic leaders who want to understand how their business works from the data point of view, then again you start collecting some very powerful insights for how you decide about your daily business.
And what challenges do you normally see with being able to connect all these things together to give you those real time? Do you get that thing of people say, oh, we can't do that because I don't know, there, for some blockage. Do you get a lot of that, or did you have a lot of that as you were trying to put this in place?
I almost want to say no, right? It doesn't mean that it doesn't
so
mean that
easy,
it doesn't.
It was so easy.
Yeah, of course it's you always have you always have some little problems and some little obstacles, but this is where I think is not taking a no for an answer is very useful. I mean, at the end of the day, maybe it wasn't right technology. Then let's go for something else that will give us what we need. And so, no, I have not met on a strategic level an obstacle that wouldn't allow me integrate one system with another or pull the information from the process in a way that I wouldn't be able to visualize or feed another process. So at least a bit of the manual work and analog way of doing business can be removed. And this is I think that the big part of this revolution that is happening, that there's really very few obstacles, that there's very few things where you will say, okay, it just cannot be done. It's an idea that precedes its time, right? I don't think we live in that environment these days.
Yeah. Okay. And then I suppose just kind of drawing to a close, what the future is obviously incredibly interesting. Do you think, have you got plans, roadmaps to start integrating Gen AI into decision making in the business? Is there, are you going to take humans out of the loop at all? What do you think the future is from that point of view?
Well, I never thought that AI is here to take the humans out of the loop. It is to give the humans more time to work in a creative, better, and a value-generating manner, right? So AI is here to support us. I am a deep believer in agents. I think that then the big portion in where BI or direction where the BI is going to evolve in business is about agents and about supporting. It's a little bit like your Google Maps, right? You wouldn't go to the place you've never been just with a paper map, right? But it is still your decision and your invention how you're going to, where you're going to go, and what you're going to do during the trip. And that is what I believe AI will do. So I believe that deeply that AI will remove the redundant work and not substitute work of what that we do today.
Okay, so you see it more as bringing the information, especially in BI, bringing the information together and synthesizing that before it's then presented, or do you see it more as helping to collect that information, or where is it? What do those agents do?
That's interesting topic that you have brought, and I would say that for business intelligence, there is still a space to improve in terms of how you as a user, as a business leader, can interact with that information. So still very much what we do and most companies do is some predefined way of presenting the data, and that obviously can have a little bit of a bias. So what you try to do is you try to give as much freedom to the recipient of that information to view the information the way they want to view it, right? You give them additional visuals, you give the slicers, and you want them to interact and build their own story based of how they go through various elements of that visual presentation of data. And AI and agents can help it take it further, because you can start asking more natural questions and suggesting some of the real problem solving conversations based on that data. I don't think we're there yet. I think that there are many attempts to be there. I don't think we're there yet, but I think that this is where the business intelligence will develop.
Yeah, great. Is there anything else, just as as we kind of wrap up, that's on your mind? Anything for the future that you think might be worth sharing?
Well, I think it's to say that technology was never so available, and it has never been so achievable to reach your technology goals and enable your business. That I would call it a democratization of technology. I would put it that as a potential for a lot of innovative businesses to be at par with enterprise Fortune 500 companies, because they can really achieve a lot in terms of how they do business and what they offer to the customers in a way that was what was reserved for just the bigger players in the future. So I would say in the past. So I would say it is time for being brave. It is time for being bold. It is time for staying close to the facts and to the numbers, and use technology in the way that you can only imagine it can be used.
Absolutely. And on that note, Piotr, thank you so much for your time and being with us on today's episode. Very much appreciate it. Thank you, and good luck for the future.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Software Meets Business, the podcast sponsored by Head Channel. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your preferred platform.